I'm going to call the meeting to order at this time, and glad to see so many folks here tonight. Glad to have you. Appreciate it. We have the full board tonight, which hasn't happened for a little while, just because I think we could have gotten a quorum in Florida easier than we could have here. And you can just tell by who's tan and who had to stay, right, Kelly? You and me? Yeah. All right. All right. We like to open with a prayer for guidance, and Gary, would you offer that prayer?
Our gracious God and Heavenly Father, we come to you, Lord, this evening now. We thank thee for this beautiful day you've given us. We ask for blessings now on this meeting as we meet. May it give us wisdom and knowledge and discernment in making decisions that must be for the township, but may they glorify you. We bring before you our nation, O Lord, and the conflicts that are around the world. May you protect our men and women in the armed forces, give them all to stand in need of. Be with our own township employees, those, O Lord, that fix the pipes and do the infrastructure. We pray for our fire department, O Lord, that you may give them all they stand in need of. Be us tonight, Lord, as we swear in 6 men for the fire department as we begin this journey of a full-time fire department. May you give each one of those individuals and the existing firemen and firewomen safety and guidance. Protect them, O Lord, and give them all they stand in need of. Be with our police officers and those that protect us in our township limits. May you give them all they stand in need of too. Bless us now, Lord, in all that we do and say, and the rest of this night. Keep us from sin, O Lord, forgive any sins. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. If you'd stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Ask our clerk to call the roll.
They're all present.
Excellent. Is there a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
So move.
Support.
Would you support? Any discussion?
I need to make a statement of a conflict of interest in item number 17 on the agenda. Similar item to last month's meeting.
Okay.
The work for the applicant.
Okay. I'm going to move that we permit the recusal of Ms. Kuiper on item 17.
Support.
Would support? Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, she's recused from that item. Otherwise, all in favor of the agenda say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Great. We start right away with our fire department with an update from the chief. It's about that beautiful rig out there, and then we'll move right into new hires. So.
Absolutely. You hear me okay?
We got you.
Can everybody hear him?
You hear me okay? Total calls for service for February was 84. That's slightly down from January. It's 122 calls. Mutual aid, we only had 1 for the month of February. So year to date, we're at 240 calls. For public education and community outreach, we had 29 home safety surveys, 110 smoke alarm installs, and 39 CO detectors, for a total of 172 for the month. Our most notable is that big, beautiful ladder truck out there. So we appreciate it, your support. It's been a long time coming. It's been about 3.5 to 4 years to get to this point. Very, very excited about it. I'm very blessed to have that truck. So truck holds 6 people, 110 foot, 100-gallon tank. We look to train on it at the end of March, and we're hoping to have it in service in April. So we're excited about that. And the biggest thing we're here tonight for is to share our 24/7 firefighters. So we appreciate the board's support on this, getting us to this point. Our manager, Andy, with the interview process, John with the interview process. We appreciate it to get to this point. So I'd like to call them up so we can swear them in. Super excited about that.
Can everybody hear him? Everybody in the back there? Yeah, no, a couple of you know. Just a little closer.
Yeah, get closer.
You got to eat it. All right, as I call you up, if you could stand here facing the audience this way, please. Mark Nauta. Nick Leatherman. Jacob Hall. Jordan Reed. Clayton Deppy. And Chad Richardson. These are your first 24/7 Georgetown full-time firefighters. Thank you.
Okay. First, congratulations. I'm going to read a statement. You can wait until I'm done saying it, and then you'll repeat, I do. You'll raise your right hand, please. I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this state, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the Georgetown Township Fire Department according to the best of my ability. Thank you. You're all sworn in. Congratulations.
All right.
That same shirt?
Call me.
You're not going to see us. We got to get between you guys. Yeah, I'm just going to come right in.
Those who want pictures, I mean, we'll stand as long as you needed and just take turns, so. Go in the house.
All the guys in blue down on one knee.
All right, you guys need I'm Wendy.
All right, I ain't got that many Christmas presents.
Okay. Well, welcome, you guys.
Welcome.
Thank you. We're
Don't
happy to
leave
have you.
quite yet, families. I think the board would like to say a few words as well, so.
Congratulations. Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you. Congratulations. Mark.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Congratulations.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, welcome.
Congratulations.
Glad to have you.
Welcome.
Awesome. A lot of enthusiasm in your interview. Thank you.
Happy to have you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Full board.
If you all want to just turn and face the board just for a minute, I just figured the board would want to say a few things, not just to you, but to your families as well. I know that many in the room tonight are relatives and friends and family, and you know, John, you went through the interview process, and I know Kevin, and of course, Deputy Chief, and I'm really appreciative on behalf of the board for how you worked together through this process. Many qualified candidates, a sought-after position. You should feel very blessed and honored because you really, competed for these positions. So I had a chance, as we all did, to read the biographies, and I just wanted to say to those who are here tonight, it was evident to all of us how much you matter to them and how important what they're doing is to not only the community, but also to you as a family, and how much they value your support behind them. And so if you've got your kids here tonight, or possibly spouses, or parents, or siblings, or friends, thank you so much for being a big part of who these men are. It was very evident in the process that they value you highly, highly. And so we think of you as we think of them. We appreciate you offering them to the township to put them sometimes in harm's way. And we greatly appreciate that. No different than it would be a military family. So thank you so much. And those on the board, anyone who wish to add some words, go ahead.
They did an incredible job in the interviews, and there's such a passion in your heart for Georgetown Township, and many of you shared stories with us of your experiences in life, whether it was here at Georgetown or at other fire departments, and you could tell that you have a kind heart, you're highly skilled, and this is something that you've dedicated your life to. And we are very, very proud to have you. And we hope this will grow. And we know with your enthusiasm and your attitude that this is going to be a very, very, it's going to be incredible. It's going to provide a safety for our community. And also, I think you're going to be very motivated. You're going to motivate our community. So thank you very much.
I'd like to thank you all for doing this. I've worked with at least 4 of you for quite a few years, and I know your heart, and I know your heart's there. It's not always about the job. This is still one big happy family, even if it's a full-time or part-paid family, and I hope it continues to work that way for all of you. And this will be just another good stepping stone for you, and we appreciate what you're going to be doing for us. And I got to believe you're going to be busy. So don't hesitate to come to any one of us or your fellow men. So thank you once again.
Okay. Anyone else?
I just want to say thank you real quick. I think that this is a really important step for our township with you all serving in a full-time capacity. And I'm just really excited for the opportunity that it brings for our community. And I think it's really exciting that you all get to be a part of that. So thank you again.
Yeah, and if you guys have any questions, please reach out to any of us. We're all so excited that you guys are here and have joined our team. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Well.
Any speeches from any of you?
Yeah. If anybody wants to say anything, this is your opportunity. Right. Sure. You bet. You got it. Excellent. Well, certainly we would not consider it rude if you want to go out and celebrate and leave the meeting early. You're welcome to stay if you wish, and family, same with you. If you want to step out, you're welcome to, or to stay. That's up to you. All right? Thank you. Thank you.
There's a nice fire truck to take people by. Sure, they're all taking photos by the new fire truck.
Buff right?
Hey, the rest of the meeting's important too.
Guy right here. Do you know this guy in the tin cans? He's hugging everybody. I just wondered.
Sorry. This guy right here? Green pants and a green check shirt.
That's Mark Nauta's dad, John Nauta.
How does he know everybody?
He was fireman from Wyoming all time.
Oh, he's Clay's. Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Actually,
Families.
actually, pastor is going to be doing Ryan's dad's funeral.
Thanks. Thank you very much.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right. We'll move on to item 8, communication letters and reports received for the board's information. Then item 9, public comments for action items remaining on tonight's agenda. So for those of you who've remained, this is your opportunity to speak to any of our agenda items tonight. So welcome. Michael, how are
I
you?
believe this is my only opportunity to speak to the moratorium topic. Is that correct?
This is the right time. Yep.
Okay. Thank you. I guess I just wanted to make my feelings a part of the record that I'm Michael McGraw with Eastbrook Homes, for the record. And we're disappointed in the moratorium, I guess I would say, or the thought of it. We've been here, and I guess I'm speaking specifically at this moment to what we believe is a vested right with respect to the Lowing Woods planned unit development. As you guys probably know, that project started in 2004 with a density cap of 865 units. The approval of that project in its entirety required some infrastructure investment, sanitary work, some water main looping that was done in subsequent phases. That wasn't done initially, but there was
roughly 500,000 to 600,000 invested in each of those, which in today's dollars is probably, each of them would be $1 million or more to get that work done. And we did that, I think, with the understanding that, we were going to build out to near our cap on our unit count. We never tried to maximize the density. That has not been our intent. Most recently in 2021, we had a PUD that was at 829 units. The current amendment that we discussed with the Planning Commission and Board was to adjust the density down further to 782 units, so still well below what we were approved to construct in 2004. There were some housing typology changes, addition of park space, a second pool that you guys may remember we had in that most recent amendment request. I guess what I'm hoping to confirm is that so long as we are not asking to go above the number of units that was approved for in 2004, that we would continue to have the right to work through these subsequent phase approvals, because we believe that right was earned when we got the project approved. The other thing I think we need to be mindful of is that preliminary approval or a site plan approval is really just the first step in any of those projects for these subsequent phases. It's really 2 years from that point that we get to the point where houses are ready to be occupied. And I think sometimes that gets missed. We've got engineering, the site plan approval allows us to move forward with that next step. So to just bring the approval processes to a screeching halt and say, we're not going to look at any of this, it would constrain our ability to do the forward planning that's necessary in the form of engineering drawings. You go through multiple iterations of approval from agencies to the township engineer and all the people who have purview over our construction documents. We can't do any of that without getting that first step approved. So I guess that's what I want to confirm, is that we've got that vested right to continue working through those, knowing we have to agree on some of those. If there are modifications or slight changes in the phasing, we have to talk about those things. But I just want to confirm that that right is indeed vested, so we can continue to support the roughly 100 employees and 600 contractors who rely on a steady stream of work from us. And to have a big gap in that would be injurious to a lot of people who rely on us for employment and putting food on their tables. So thank you, and appreciate the time to talk.
Thank you. Yes. Eastbrook Homes, yeah.
Eastbrook Homes, 1188 East Paris Avenue, Kentwood.
And then you live where?
3918 Egypt Valley, Ada.
Thank you. Yep, appreciate it. Anyone else?
Randy Cucci, 547 Baldwin. Also here to speak about the moratorium. Just Michael kind of hit what I was going to hit on the time frame. I ran it out a little bit today. We just got that rezoning at the last meeting, and we're looking forward to the momentum of going ahead with the planning of the first phase. Without the moratorium, we'd probably be looking at approval in July of 26. Engineering would probably run from July through December of 2026. Permitting would maybe be January through March of 2027. With site work construction April through November of 2027. We'd get recording and final approvals in December of 27, early February 28. And our first occupancy of a house in there is really, in all reality, probably about July of 2028. We got an 8-month moratorium on there that's going to push it back to July 2029, which, I mean, that's a long ways off. It's when I think about that. We got about 71 lots approved in our Eagles Ridge subdivision in 2017 in 2 phases. The last homes are just under construction there in 2026. So it's plus or minus 9 years from like today. If we started a project, we use 71 lots in a same school district, Georgetown Township. Right now, Boscraft Homes has 5 of their last lots being built. We have nowhere to sell them lots. They're a good customer of ours. We have nowhere to sell them lots in Georgetown Township until 2028 without the moratorium, in 2029. And I don't know, to my knowledge, that there's anything approved out there and coming that's going to supply lots. Not only for them. I mean, I have a big concern for the small builders. Georgetown's always been full of small builders, and we don't have anywhere for them to go. And being able to provide some lots for them is important to us. They've been good customers for many years. So And I just the delay, I'm afraid, is going to raise the cost of the lots again. Well, I got the only lots, so they're not 140, they're 150. Well, they're getting 150, and construction costs are up 5%. We better get 160. And for kids and families in the township, and kids of families in the township, and others that want to move in, is that extra hit to affordability going to be worth it? And I just kind of concerns are big enough to push this, push the small builders out and in the residents and who want to build a new house here. Are we going to push them to other townships? Or could we work together to start our phase? I guess that's really what I'm asking. If we could consider some way allowing us to work through the design phase with the understanding that things like hookup fees and maybe some other stuff could be changing. And maybe we could, add part of that, we could identify what would have to be in place before we could start construction.
Okay, thank you.
My name is Kevin Houtzinger, 2669 Tamarack Drive in Jenison. I'm here as quite the opposite. I'm in support of the moratorium. I work in the industry as a civil engineer. I've seen municipalities play catch-up with utilities and overall infrastructure, and that really impacts everyone, current residents, future residents, anyone who works here, passes through here. A pause to evaluate the situation is warranted and can lead to impactful changes if needed. Unfortunately, I couldn't make the first reading 2 weeks ago, but I was happy to see that most of the board was in agreement. However, after reviewing the minutes and the discussion from that meeting, I do have concerns about a conflict of interest, in my opinion, with Clerk Kelly Kuiper. It wasn't disclosed or brought up in any way that she is employed by Eastbrook Homes, clearly a developer here fighting against this moratorium. As far as I know, it would have a direct impact on at least one current project, the Tall Oaks, that they're trying to get the preliminary plat approval here tonight. I believe that is going to be rejected based on the Planning Commission. And if the moratorium passes, then obviously that's 8 months. And then any design changes that have to be brought up to compliance with the any changes from that moratorium. And then, as mentioned, that would be an 8-month pause on any new Eastbrook Homes project. I strongly think that that's a direct conflict of interest, and I would like to know why Clerk Kelly Kuiper did not request that she be excused or even bring it up.
It did.
At last month's, 2 weeks ago meeting regarding the moratorium itself, I did not see that in the minutes at all. But, okay, I still believe that this project or this moratorium would be a good thing for the township. Developers want to come here, small developers, big developers, and to just put a pause to collect some data, analyze the data, and see if there needs to be any changes. I think that would be beneficial.
Thank you.
Kevin?
Pete Plowman, 6877 Creek Ridge Court, Hudsonville. Couple of things, the moratorium, I think that was a good decision. We have a lot of other things going on, primarily infrastructure, roads, sewer, water, and everybody in the room from Georgetown is dealing with that. So I think that was a good call. Kevin's point that you did discuss the moratorium, Kelly Kuiper was part of those discussions, and so she has an influence on the project going in for Eastbrook. The other thing, one quick question as it relates to fire. I'm curious, because I don't know the answer to this. With the nursing homes that we have here, they are nonprofit. They don't pay property taxes. I'm curious as to how many times we go there and do we bill them for those services? I'm sure we don't give them free water and sewer, but are we giving them free EMS, those types of services of which they are not paying for? And maybe we could have the fire department let us know how many times they go there in the course of a year, and then thus we should bill them something for those services. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sam Hansen. My wife and I live at 2637 Willowview Drive. Willowview currently serves about 93 homes. Cars often park along the street, turning it into a one-lane road where drivers must yield to oncoming traffic. This is just an example of how narrow the street already is, especially on the east end with the two large curves leading to 24th Avenue. Willowview was never designed to handle heavy through traffic. The plat being voted on tonight would force about 145 of the 273 planned homes to use Willowview Drive as their main exit. While drivers could go north to Fillmore, many will avoid an already overburdened Fillmore Street and instead try to reach Bauer Road. This will almost double the traffic on Willowview and creates a serious safety concern, especially since these 145 homes would have no other direct access to Bauer. In addition, 28th Avenue is already planned to be a main corridor connecting Fillmore to Bauer. No matter how traffic is distributed, Willowview Drive will see increased traffic. Because of these existing conditions and expected increases, the proposed layout creates problems beyond inconvenience. That is why we are asking the board to deny the Tall Oaks preliminary plat and uphold the Planning Commission's decision. This is not just a personal concern, it's a street design issue, a safety issue, and a rules issue. 28th Avenue is planned as a corridor route designed to carry heavy traffic, shown by its 50 to 60-foot setbacks. These setbacks reflect the township's intent for this road to function as a major corridor, not a neighborhood street. Willowview is different. It is a local street with lower traffic, slower speeds, and 30-foot setbacks, designed for single-family homes. Treating 28th Avenue like Willowview ignores the purpose of the corridor and existing zoning standards. The Planning Commission denied this plat because it does not meet Section 5051A of the ordinance. The street layout does not continue existing streets, does not match the surrounding pattern, and does not arrange minor streets to discourage through traffic. Instead, the design funnels traffic into a single internal spine road. Phase 1 controls access to all future phases. If Phase 1 is built as shown, the entire street system is locked in, even if future phases are delayed, changed, or never built. Once the streets are constructed, the township loses leverage. Approving this plat would set a bad precedent, allowing future developers to seek the same treatment and weakening the township's control over corridor planning. The Planning Commission's denial was based on compliance, not opinion. If a plat does not meet the ordinance, it should not be approved. Approving a non-compliant plat today locks in problems tomorrow. The safest decision is to require compliance before approval. We respectfully ask the board to uphold the Planning Commission's denial and maintain adherence to Section 5051. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Question. Is this the only spot to speak to that agenda item as well? Is this the only time in the meeting to speak to that?
It is, and each person gets one.
Okay.
Yeah, if you've got maybe you've got a associate, yeah.
But just to be clear, for the upcoming Tall Oaks agenda item, there will be no comment from the applicant?
If there are questions from the board, yes, they may.
Okay.
They may inquire of you. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Eric Stark, Miller Johnson, on behalf of the applicant for Tall Oaks. So I'm going to talk about the requested preliminary plat for Phase 1. And I guess maybe if there are questions, we're happy to take them now, or if you want to take them when the agenda item's up to you guys. So one thing we want to clarify, I think there was some confusion by the Planning Commission at their meeting. They took it upon themselves to make a recommendation with respect to Phase 1 of the preliminary plat. When we look at the ordinance, they don't really have that authority. And there's also some confusion about whether or not we're seeking approval of Phase 1 or the extended phases. Under your ordinance, we have an obligation to provide the extended phases together with the Phase 1 preliminary plat. The ordinance is clear that this board doesn't have the authority to approve or deny the extended phases. Those are really there to provide some additional flavor, I would say, for the Phase 1 of the preliminary plat. So really what the Planning Commission is to be looking at is the Phase 1 of the preliminary plat. And what this board is either to approve or reject is phase 1 of the preliminary plat. At the time, the extended phases, in whatever configuration they may be in, when we seek approval for those, this board will have the exact same opportunity to do that review and approval that they're doing for phase 1. For example, looking at the roads, looking at the utilities, any other layout concerns for each phase. So right now we're looking at phase 1 of the preliminary plat, which is 47 lots. And when we look at phase 1, there are no road issues created by phase 1. What we heard at the planning commission level was that this cut through from 28th to Bauer is something the township has wanted for 40 years. We heard that from the chair of the planning commission. We've heard from other planning commissioners that said, this is great, we've wanted this for a long time. We hope that Eastbrook will put it in for us. And that is what we heard at the planning commission level, which is not something, frankly, that can be put onto the applicant. So what we're looking at are 47 lots, and does the 47 lots create a burden that must be relieved by this road? No. There's a trip generation study that you all have in your packet that says phase 1 is not going to create any sort of traffic issues. So what we're looking at, and what the planning commission is attempting to do, is put this public benefit onto the applicant, which I get it. I would want to do that too, but you can't, that's not constitutional. So they can't do that. We're looking only at 47 lots.
Hey, what we will intentionally give you an opportunity during that period of time. Yep. I'm sure one of us will ask a question to allow you to finish your statement as long as it's reasonable in length.
Yeah, believe me, I want to be as short as possible, but we don't want to make sure that there are clearly.
Yeah. What I mean is, when that point comes, yep.
So one other point I want to.
You understand what I'm saying? So your time expired, but we're going to give you, Eric, an opportunity.
Okay.
Most likely at that point.
It's brief.
There'll probably be a question along those lines.
It's brief. Thank you. Yep.
Appreciate it. Oh, we standard practice at
145 Ottawa Avenue, Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Okay, and that's not a home address.
It is. I spend a lot of time there. Address and work address. So.
Like that. I know they have condos in that building, so maybe you just go up the elevator, right? Yeah. All right. Okay, anyone else wish to address the board at this time? The best way to do that would be to come forward to the mic. But I'm sorry, you've already spoken, so yep. Excuse me. I'm going to have to maintain decorum in that respect to say we appreciate your comments, duly noted, and thank you. So, yes, sir.
Good evening, Mitch Holgren, 2512 Cedar West Drive. I also want to two things to mention that I hope that the board upholds the spending addendum that is mentioned in the minutes, but specifically the Tall Oaks development. To reiterate a lot of the things, I hope that the board considers the meeting and the notes that in the diligence that the planning committee did, and they uphold that, and that to me it seems interesting to question the planning committee and the developer wasn't even present at that meeting to address some of the questions. And one of the comments that I believe Gary said when he was there is having the community buy in and be excited about this development. Obviously, that was not the case at the first meeting, as this was pretty much every seat was filled, and there was a lot of concern about this, and we were glad to see that there was a specific item, 5051, called out that wasn't followed in the planning committee's opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, man, did I miss another one?
Yeah, Cedar West Drive.
Okay.
I didn't get his last name.
Chelsea get the address? I didn't catch it, and I just want to make
We try to make a record.
Will you restate your address, please?
2512 Cedar West Drive.
And your last name?
Oogland.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Welcome.
Hi, Tim Boltema. I'm at 2708 Cedar West Drive, and we are right on Willow Lake, which is right across from the first phase. I work for Pioneer Construction. I understand you guys like the development. We're in the development also with commercial project. I understand process and progress. The first phase that you're talking about is basically the foundation of the entire rest of the plot. So if 28th Street does not go all the way through, that first phase locks it all in. Plus, with us living right there on that water, there is a ton of wildlife. There's mating pairs of muskrats. We see fox, coyote. There's 7 deer that were bedded down right on the dry parts of the lake. Not to mention what we've mentioned too with all the traffic. I went out for a walk with our grandchild and my wife. We couldn't even get across Fillmore to get to the park down by Riverside Park, down by the park across the street where the boat launch is at. That traffic was coming back and forth there. Everything needs to be studied. And then also the north side of Fillmore, with that whole development going in, with all those brand new houses going in there, traffic's going to be a nightmare. So I also have my neighbor here. When the snow was all melting, when all the rain was coming down, when we sit in our backyard, we can hear the water coming down through the streams off the top of Fillmore Hill, coming all down. There's a ton of water, wetlands. Like I said, I understand progress, but there's got to be more study done. It's just too many people and too much area. And like I said, I understand progress. I would like to see, I understand that was always going to be developed. When we moved in, we were understanding that Willow Lake was actually going to possibly be dug out because we signed things in our purchase agreement that said there might be future lake association fees that might go along with it if that lake was completely dug out. So anyway, between the traffic, the number of people that are there, I appreciate the Planning Commission just putting a hold on it. It has to have more study done. So thank you.
Thank you.
Evening. Adam McCloskey, 2504 Cedar West Drive. I am directly behind the proposed Phase 1 lots 18 and 19. And something I forgot to bring up last time during the Planning Commission meeting was reference point B, I believe, to be inaccurate. The maps make it look like there's land between those two pieces of water there where 18 and 19 butt right up to the existing properties on Cedar West Drive. And after these heavy rains and the snow melt, it's a stream. I could have skated through there if it was frozen. I think I've heard my neighbors talk about taking kayaks to the larger part, to the north side. I also don't prefer the way that reference point was collected. I'm not sure what the legality is of surveyors, but excuse common courtesy to knock on our door when you're walking through my property and tell us what you're doing. Beyond that, the traffic, I just moved to Jenison in November, and there's already a hell of a lot of traffic on Fillmore when I'm turning into 24th or 28th. There's development on the north side of Fillmore, and I know the person representing the plat mentioned how it would be a service to the county if they put a road through. Well, there's lots of exterior roads outside the plat that I'm sure the county would have to take commission. You know, the Georgetown Township would have to take charge of, including turn lanes. There's a huge queue of cars behind me typically when I do make a turn onto 24th going home. So I just wanted to bring up that. I do think some more studies need to be done, and I hope you guys agree with the Planning Commission's opinion from the other meetings. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you say McCloskey? Any relation, Mr. McCloskey? No? Okay. Just curious.
I thought that too.
Oh, yeah.
Hello, I'm Shelley Hansen. I live at 2637 Willowview Drive. My husband was just up here, and I'm not a lawyer, but Michigan law requires the street, the entire layout to be compliant at the time of review, and it does not rely on future phases. So I'm not sure if he's talking about 47 homes all going through Willowview Drive, making that a through street, to 24th Avenue, it will not work. There's too much, it's too narrow. There's too many homes close to the road. It's not like 28th Avenue. So I'd like to just say that, if that is Michigan law, that it requires that.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right. Seeing none, we'll close that public comment period and move on to item number 10, which is our consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda?
Support.
Moved and supported. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And it passes. Item 11, Parks Truck. Is there a motion to approve the purchase of a 2026 GMC 2500 for the Parks Department?
So moved.
Support.
Okay, so we moved and supported. Did I see, well, right in the front here, as needed, not necessarily unless you want to for certain make a statement to this, but I know on services that we received information, much as the board has here, bid results and the like. Is there anything you wish to add to the information we've received, Rod? Only if we have questions, okay. All right, among the board, any questions for Rod or any discussion? You can't judge this one, I'll just say, by its miles because of the type of miles that it puts on. But we had discussion about both miles and condition, and it's at the cusp of losing its value, more precipitous drop. We have a really great, I think, resale value on a truck like this, which will apply to the purchase of the new one, which is itself a very good price, which I think is through MI Deal, if I'm not mistaken. So,
are we going to be able to use, I assume this is a plow truck because of the low mileage, and so are we going to be able to use any of the plow equipment from this new truck, or is that going to have to be completely different setup because it's 10 years old?
that is one of the main things that wears the most.
Yeah, plows. So.
And you like the GMC versus the Chevy, right?
No, it really doesn't matter. They're all great.
Okay.
Let's have Rod up there. He's usually passionate.
Yeah, I thought you had a GMC.
He sells it.
And you liked that one.
She
and
let
it
him
was,
off the hook.
and it was cheaper.
GMC.
GMC.
All made in the same line.
Okay.
Yeah.
It came down to a timeline issue that we can get a GMC truck way quicker than we can a Chevy truck. So,
Okay.
I look at some of the specs though. The first specs on that truck is what we are getting with the 18-inch rims, 18-inch tires. Because as you go down and then get into some of the other, I mean, if you got to really figure out the coding, because it does say 17-inch tires and spare and all that kind of stuff, which we certainly don't want. I think you want to at least be 18 or 20s.
GMC comes stock with the 18.
Okay. Yeah, because I don't think you want 17s. So just.
Not a big step.
That was the only thing I actually seen it, so I'm good.
Anyone else? Okay, hearing nothing further. All in favor of this motion for the purchase, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It is carried. Appreciate your input, Rod. Item 12, related to improvements at Maplewood Park and Rush Creek Park. Is there a motion to approve of these improvements to these parks, which is a significant number, but has been worked on for quite some time?
I will make a motion to
Okay.
make the
Moved
improvement.
by Amy from Services,
Second.
seconded by John, formerly of Services, and probably a part of this when discussions began. As those of you who've been on Services know, or on this board, expenditures of this magnitude do not happen overnight. And this has been something that's been studied, debated, discussed. And it comes here after, an odyssey, put it that way. It's not just lightly chosen. So, thoughts, comments, questions? I know I always turn to Kelly as our resident park expert, but you love the parks, you love these parks. Any unique thoughts that you want to add for the full board here other than what's apparent to them?
We've done a lot of research on this particular park and this reconfiguration here. I'll just point out that the challenge with not having detailed committee minutes is that it's not quite obvious as to why I voted no on this item that came through committee. And I'll just point out that the 797 number represents post-tension. And we had this conversation with the engineer and the pickleball expert that is post-tension great, yes, but is reinforced concrete sufficient? So I voted no because I thought the reinforced concrete for cost savings was a sufficient material for this particular park. So I don't know if we want to have that conversation or if we trust the recommendation by the committee, but I just wanted to point out that this number was not the lowest bid. It was, I think it was close to $30,000 higher for that post-tension material. But
If I remember right, the original bids were well over $1 million though, with post-tension. So if we get it priced down to this $800,000 range with post-tension, what's going to bring the life of the surface far greater than without post-tension, I think it's worth the $30,000. So we're not looking at this in 7 or 10 years and saying, well, there's cracks, there's uneven, we got to remove it, replace it, and spend more money on it. We'll get more life out of the post-tension than we would without it. And I think it's a significant savings from the original bid.
I agree, and the problem too is the tennis courts have been in disarray for a long time. I've not been able to play on our tennis courts, and it's hard to get on the schools because the kids all use them, or they kick you off because you're not allowed during the day because of security, because I would be a threat with a tennis racket. I think we need to keep up our parks, and what we have right now, we're not keeping up. So I think this is a good time to do it, and the prices seem better. And if we do the post-tension, it's going to last way longer, and we're not going to have to do the upkeep. I'm not a big fan of the layout in Rush Creek Park, but it's a neighborhood park. My only concern there is, will we have to replace the tennis net because the courts back up to that? Usually pickleball is sideways on a tennis court, so, but it's a neighborhood park, so it maybe is fine with that. But I think for our neighborhood parks, and Maplewood gets a lot of use, and I think it's smart to get rid of the sand pit that's there, volleyball or whatever it is, and fix up the basketball court because that needs it as well. So, yes.
Stray cats are not happy about that volleyball area going away. You know, what you just commented on, for those who are not in services, about the configuration at Rush Creek, it's a bit of a compromise. I think ideally we would have had separate courts, you know, pickleball here and so on. It was meant for efficiency and cost effectiveness.
Yes.
That we tried to do a multi-sport arrangement there. Maplewood is not as much. We've separated them out as they've been separated, both basketball, tennis now with some pickleball. And just for the benefit of the public, pickleball has been mentioned a lot in recent years. This is not the pickleball you've probably heard of, which is the consideration of possibly at 8th Avenue Park. That's still just a thought, right? This has to do with these two established areas where multi-sport activity already takes place. The fact that we can both enhance in addition to what's there, but also replace and repair that which has, you know, begun to fall apart. So, yeah, it's a price-wise, believe it or not, it's much better than it was, which usually it's heading the other direction. So I think we're pleased about that. These are the feel-good projects that ought to be something that puts a smile on the whole community.
And whenever I talk to people, if I run into people and I'll say, what do you like about living in Georgetown Township? First thing they say are our parks. Second thing is the library. Pretty much standard anytime I talk to people. They love our parks. So we need to maintain our parks for our residents and our kids and our grandkids.
Gary's committee deals with $5 million pipes and things. You don't see them. Costs a lot of money.
I'd like to hear from Gary, because
Looking at the parks, and yeah, the Maplewood Park needs to be updated.
Yeah.
Court shot.
Gary, I'd like to hear from you, because I know you're the big opponent for the cement last time. That's why we put it on hold.
Post-tension, you know, when you look at the big scheme of things, the post-tension isn't as expensive. considering, my biggest thing is trying to get my arms around this kind of money for concrete and fence. You know, when you compare this to a $750,000 house, you're like, I'm getting concrete and fence for $750,000. It seems like it's just like a lot of money. We did get 5 bids, and so they're all in the same ballpark, for the lack of a better term. You know, I've been reading up. There is probably a little more longevity with post tension. I'm not sure how much more, but if it's $30,000 more compared to a $740,000 bid, it's, in the big scheme of things, it's not as expensive as I thought it might be. I'm just trying to get my arms around the whole huge package for concrete and fence, but apparently that's what they're getting because there's 5 bids on it. So, but that needs to be done. I mean, I drove to Maplewood Park the other day, just look at that tennis net, and that thing gets used a lot.
It does.
That basketball court, it's amazing. There's people there all the time playing ball. I bet tonight you go there, be guys out there. So it's time to update some of these. Rush Creek, same thing. I think it's a good compromise. You'll be able to do tennis, pickleball, got a basketball, Maplewood Park. We got to start with some of the stuff. It's just what, some of it 30 years old, Rod? Maplewood Park, some of that basketball court 30 years old?
I had it resurfaced probably about 22 years ago.
Okay.
That is
Yeah, right. So it's time.
We've talked about post-tension for years, and a lot of us had to be educated in just what that meant. But it seems like it's the way to go, and it holds up much, much longer. And these are improvements to those parks, which those parks have desperately needed. And, you know, as Rod just mentioned, I mean, asphalt out there we've been using for 22 years. Let's put something out there as this place, particularly Rush Creek, has dramatically expanded with population. It's time to take and give them a very nice park, because it was in rough shape, even though Rod's crew does an incredible job. So I'm for this. I think it's a smart move. But yes, the numbers, huge. But we've been talking about it for years.
Yeah.
It sure needs to be done.
And we've added handicap accessible playground equipment at Rush Creek too, which is great. And we'll probably update the, what do you call it, frisbee disc golf once that goes in too.
I think we're investing into that community over there, all of these, at Maplewood Park.
Do you know what the warranty is on the coatings on that stuff?
20?
Don't they put coating on the pickleball courts and stuff? Or is it just concrete?
Oh, I'm sure it'd be a painted surface, right?
Yeah, they have to wait years. They have to wait to get the water out. They have to wait to get the water out, and then they put another coating on top of it and paint the lines. And yeah.
Is that annually done then, or is that?
Oh, it's my understanding it lasts for a number of years, but it has to be done. I guess I'm going to default to Amy on that one.
It should last for quite a few years, yes. I don't know how many, and now they have all new different materials than before. But when I coached tennis at Unity, I mean, we really didn't have to repaint the lines.
Okay.
So, I mean, we had to repair the
Get it in
crack.
writing, Rod.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there anyone else? No? Everybody's good? All right, good. This is not a roll call, so all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's carried, and that's exciting. Item 13, the Rosewood Park slide, the really tall one. It has a broken side panel, if you will, and it has happened now and then. So, came through services. The question is whether or not to to fix it or to remove it at this point. Came from services on a split vote to remove it. And is there a motion then to?
Make a motion to remove the broken tunnel slide.
All right. Yes, is there a second?
Support.
Support, okay.
I'd like to
maybe make a motion is just to replace it. Why remove it? I mean, it gets used, obviously. I mean, that park is used a lot. I mean, there's probably, I would say that playground there is one, or you go by there in the summertime or even in the wintertime when the kids are out there sledding, that they're using that playground. If we remove that slide, it's kind of I mean, you just put that picture up there, it's kind of the marquee of the playground.
It gets a lot of damage, it seems
Yeah.
like, though, doesn't it? I mean,
I can
they're
explain
too
the
big.
rationale at the services committee meeting, at least why I made the motion at services was it's consistently damaged. This is not the first time. And the damage is not coming from regular wear and tear. The damage is coming from very aggressive wear and tear by near adults. I think the last pictures that we got were grown adults that were using that slide and breaking it. And you all know I've said this phrase quite a bit, we deserve nice things, and I still wholly believe that we deserve nice things here, but I also believe the opposite is true. When you break nice things, we're not just going to keep replacing them for people. And I don't think that this means we won't ever replace it in the future, but I think we need to sort of evaluate what the feedback is on if it's removed, because at this point we're just consistently replacing something that people are destroying.
And it's expensive to fix it.
Or fixing something that people are destroying.
Removing the whole thing or removing?
Removing it and capping it.
Talking about the top, Gene, they're talking about the top.
Just the tall
I'm
slide.
confused on what
Not the whole thing.
Let's take a look
No,
at it.
just the slide.
Look, you don't have to show the vid. Oh, no, oh, shoot. Lose.
Give
Me, by the way.
I'm going to give a little background. So this is approximately 12:30 in the morning. Yeah, and I'll have Chelsea play it.
Moms don't love this slide.
No. Some moms do.
So, okay, this is after the slide was already broke. These individuals peeled back the safeguard that our Parks Department put in place, and then this person went down the slide, and you can see the boot marks.
How many people are there at 12:30 in the morning?
Just taking off
The tall slide.
all blue side.
So-
Most of them will stay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we would remove looking at this video, we would remove the left-hand side slide. On the third floor, we would cap with bars, and basically the kids could go up into like a tower. They just couldn't come down it anymore.
Right.
This this structure is 20 years old, and we talked to the committee about maybe at 25 years we replace it, just for general wear and tear. But this is a lose-lose decision, so I'm going to place it on the board.
You're gonna have some parents that are mad because we're taking it away. Others want it fixed, but
Apparently you have one out here that wants it taken away.
yeah, all right.
I'll add to it. My son has gotten hurt on that slide, so I don't have much left
I just
for
want
it.
to let you know that the chrome slides that I grew up on that were 150 degrees in the summer,
Yeah, right.
they're still working. They're 100 years old, and nobody broke them things.
Yeah.
How much if we replace that slide? How about giving us that?
So
roughly.
if we pull up the options, there is a lead time. I'm going to get Mr. Deemter for this one. I think it's about 6 to 8 months. We've done this in the past a couple of years ago. I think when I first started here, over 3.5 years ago, they ordered it. They had to get a crane to support it while they swap out the segments. In 2022, 7 segments cost $8,000 for materials only.
For 7 segments. It
yeah.
needs 3 right now, right?
Needs 3. I think I'm going to go look at Deemter right now.
So if I could just give you a little more background information. So when I built this playground way back in 2003, I think it was, or 2006, it was my pride and joy, and it still is. I still am very proud of this park. But looking back, hindsight, this probably was not the best playground to be putting into this park, especially with the soccer bowl for sliding in the winter and the splash pad now for the summer. it's created a lot of problems for us because in the summer now, we're having kids haul water up and dumping it down the slides. And little kids that go down it go out at about 110 miles an hour. And in the wintertime, it's mainly, we're drawing a lot of adults, and they're the ones that are going down through there and destroying it. That doesn't get caused by the children.
Mm-hmm.
Does not. So how do we fix this problem? One is, my initial thought was we'll lower the whole thing down, take the whole top of that playground off, and it'll be just kind of a bland, low and slow playground, which is actually what we're going to have to go to someday, is the low and slow, because of the splash pad and the soccer court. So this is the cheapest solution, is to remove that slide, that big tall one. It's sad to me that we have to do something like that, but we have to do it in light of safety for the township.
Yeah.
Something's got to be done.
Well, we want to keep our residents safe, so.
As the lone voice crying in the wilderness here, who was just beside myself when I saw police tape on it during COVID, the whole playground. I am all for the thrill ride yet, and I voted in committee to fix it and keep it going because I love it and it's kind of iconic. And I don't know, kids need to do a little bit of dangerous stuff these days. They don't do much of that.
I lean towards that, but I'd heard a story that you put chain link fencing up and secured it, and a father brought bolt cutters and cut it all off and said that he was a taxpayer and it shouldn't be like that.
2 years after I built the playground, I was having a lot of problems with steel rubber sleds going down the tubes and slicing the plastic, creating a cutting hazard for children in the springtime. So we had to go down and actually sand the whole tube inside.
Okay.
Not a fun thing to do. But yeah, it just needs to be changed. So then I had to put up all that fencing up all the way around it to try and keep the people out, and that just seemed to draw them all the more for the adventure to get in.
Yeah. Thank you.
We also had knuckleheads that jumped on the drinking fountain a couple times there, but we still have a drinking fountain.
Public health, safety, and welfare.
I guess one person's safety is another one's adventure. All right. Clearly, I can see it going one way. We may as well take a vote. Anybody else have anything they want to say?
I'm just glad somebody didn't go down that slide and get their leg caught in that hole. That'd have been like a little Chinese handcuff, because if you look at those plastic parts, they're like this. You get in, you won't be able to pull back out. So some little kid goes down there and falls in that hole somehow. That'd have been a major alley.
Right. Yep.
You could point out a lot of different things like that that could happen on a lot of things public, you know?
Yeah.
A lot of things can happen, yep. Okay. All in favor to the removal, that's the motion that Kelly made. Say aye.
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 Opposed? Aye. It carries. All right, item 14, this is the second reading related to the temporary moratorium, the 8-month moratorium that's been proposed. For those who were not here the last meeting, of course, you've read the minutes, and you have also spoken, I'm sure, to Justin or Andy about the meeting. So we had a public hearing, and we had our initial reading, and now it's the time for the second reading, and if the board should choose, then the adoption of this moratorium. So should it be placed on the table here by someone?
So moved.
Moved by Gary?
Support.
Supported by Kevin. I want to say, I guess at the outset of the conversation about this, that to the extent that comments were made tonight in terms of what the moratorium prevents and what it does not, that can be, I think it's fairly well addressed here, specifically in section 4, I believe it is. But it can be clarified because we don't want anybody to have the wrong interpretation or understanding. And so to that degree, I'm prepared to speak to it. I think Justin probably would be. We have Manette here tonight, which we appreciate. And so we want to make sure we get that clear and right. And that's aside from, is it a good idea or isn't it? The principles underlying it, which are stated within it, which were discussed the last time and maybe discussed now, it seems to me are different than the question of, okay, if this does get enacted, does this stop me or doesn't it, right? Those developer questions and a clear understanding, I think, is important on that score. I will say, and Mr. Stark, I appreciated your letter. I think we each received a copy of both of the letters you sent. You sent one in particular on the moratorium. If it should pass tonight, I know that we have a response letter from legal counsel to you as well. So that should be received, should it pass, very soon. I'm privy to that letter, and I'm privy to the conversation with counsel. And I will just say that I'm very confident, for the sake of this board as well, not only I, but legal counsel is very confident in the foundation upon which we've rested this proposed moratorium. So with that as my own backdrop to the setting, it's open and on the floor once again.
Well, I appreciate all the comments that were said, too, with the moratorium. Is it possible to do 6 months instead of 8 months, or a lesser time, 4 months?
Possible to do anything.
I mean,
you can do 2 months, you can do
4
4 months.
2 months.
Yeah.
I mean, because I appreciate that they have things in motion and everything takes time. So, I mean, I hear both sides of the story. So I'm just asking, because I don't deal with moratoriums on a daily basis.
Well, I got to think that if we could collect information and get things figured out in 6 months, I don't know reason why we would be able to pull the moratorium, correct? We have this moratorium for 8 months.
Could curtail it, sure.
But if we could get all the information that we need, we're working on that now, and get through some of these things as far as utilities, what we need, we could come back and say, okay, we've got our information, we're good to go. We can get it quick enough. I think 8 months, we're probably gonna need the whole 8 months from what I'm seeing, Utilities Committee, but, you know, if we can get it quicker, we could come back.
I like that idea.
To open up to say we're done. But we got a lot of things we gotta collect. I'm just gonna tell you right now, there's a few things we need to work with.
If I could initiate a question to Manette. Manette, and if you don't mind, just for the record here so people who are watching online later can hear you. Manette, by the way, works in our zoning department. For those of you who are here in the public tonight, she's been with us for 30 plus years. And so Manette, you've heard some of the concerns, not that I expect you to address specific developers tonight. There may be further conversations that are needed to be had, but could you at least reinforce the concept of a moratorium, what it clearly would apply to and what it clearly would not?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Supervisor.
Manette, can you move that microphone a little closer to you? There you go. There you go.
My name's Manette Minier. My address is 8687 24th Avenue. It's kind of weird being at this end of the table, but anyway, I appreciate this opportunity, and I'm thankful that I can maybe explain how the Building and Zoning Department interprets this, and that way we can get it on the minutes too, so that everybody's clear, so that, you know, this is my understanding of it, and then, of course, if it's not yours, then you can make some changes or whatever. But first of all, to let everybody know, just want to take a minute, Chapter 51 in the Code of Ordinances is our subdivision ordinance, and it talks about plats, and it requires that when a developer comes in and applies for a plat, that they have to submit the extended phases. So we have to look at the extended phases, and then each individual phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. And then similarly, a PUD is the same way. Chapter 22 of the zoning ordinance requires a preliminary plan, and then the developer comes in for phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. So it's my interpretation of this from the language in here that, for example, when a plat comes in, the Planning Commission reviews the overall plat, and then phase 1, and then the developer comes in with phase 2, developer comes in with phase 3, and you look at it in regard to the overall plat. Same thing with the PUD. They got their overall approval, and then they come in for phase 1 and phase 2. So as per the language in here, the way that I interpret this, and of course it's up to you if this is what you want it to say, but it appears that if a developer comes in for preliminary, and got the preliminary recommendation from the Planning Commission, board, and got preliminary approval from the board in phase 1, if they want to come in for phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, it's my interpretation of this moratorium that extended phases that were provided at the beginning with the overall phase could continue to come in. So if somebody has their preliminary, phase 1, phase 2, they could come in for phase 3 or phase 4. Similarly, with a PUD, a developer comes in for a preliminary of the PUD, and then they come in for phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. And that's my interpretation of this, is that once they got their preliminary, they could come in for the extended phases. And then just a side note on that as well, it's like a flow chart. So a plat, also, after they get their preliminary, there's actually 3 steps to plat approval, which come to the board. Preliminary goes to the Planning Commission, final preliminary and final plat go to the board. But it's also my interpretation from the language in here that a developer could also then, after they get their, say they're coming in for phase 3, they could come into phase 3 for the Planning Commission for preliminary, go to the board for preliminary, and then get their final preliminary, which is construction, and then get their final plat. That is my interpretation of this language in the moratorium. And that would be how, if you agree with that interpretation, how we would handle this for the next however many months that it goes. Is that everybody else's interpretation as well?
It's consistent with what I understood, is consistent with what I understand legally,
well,
as well as with our ordinance, right? So, yep.
Chapter, our section 51 of the Code of Ordinances requires us to accept extended phases when somebody comes in for a plat. It is I started here in 1993. That's the way we have done it since 1993. So it appears to me that a developer has some vested rights once they get their preliminary. And as long as the next phases comply with the preliminary, then it appears to me, according to the language in here, that they would have the vested right to continue to do that. But now, if somebody with the plat wanted to change the preliminary, then they go back to step 1, and then no, they would have to wait till the moratorium is over. Same thing with the PUD. If somebody came in with phase 3, phase 4, phase 5, if it's consistent with the preliminary, then according to the language here, the way I would interpret it, working in the township, then we would accept that and move forward with it. But if they want to change the preliminary, then that goes back to step 1, and that would not be able to be reviewed till the end of the moratorium. That's how I interpret this language. And I wanted this to be in the minutes as well. So if this is how you interpret it, we can have it in the minutes, and that way we can show it to a developer if a developer comes in.
Mm-hmm. Questions for Manette? Anyone?
We're here, and I mean, I'm a layperson. I'm really confused, to be honest with you. I keep hearing about we need to do these studies. So we're studying our water, we're studying our sewer, we're studying our fire department response. We're doing all these before, for what? I mean, you say they can do the preliminary, but yet we want to do studies. I'm confused on.
They can't do, they could not come in, somebody could not come in for a overall preliminary for, let's just call it, what would be a name of plat that nobody uses? I don't know. Township plat. Okay, so somebody comes in for the preliminary of the township plat, and they say, okay, this is going to be 5 phases. Here's our preliminary. Here's all of our extended phases. This is phase 1. This is phase 2, phase 3. They came in a year ago, and they already got their approval for that. They came in for phase 1. They're already done. Well, now they want to come in for phase 2. And I believe that the language in here allows them to come in for phase 2 because according to the language in section 51 of the Code of Ordinances, we compare the future phases to the overall preliminary, and as long as it's consistent, then we would approve it. So nobody would come in for the overall preliminary. So now they're coming in for Township Plat Phase 4. And then those actually, so The language is probably what's confusing you. A plat has 3 steps for approval. Each plat. After you get your preliminary of the overall, then they come in for the preliminary for each individual phase. And that's just the language of preliminary, and final plat. So distinguish them between overall preliminary and then the preliminary of each individual one.
So what we're saying basically is that this moratorium, anybody who's already received overall plat approval isn't affected by it. However, somebody else that walks in the door and says, hey, I decided I'm going to develop this piece over here and I want to submit a new plat approval, that person's going to wait.
Right. The overall preliminary, if they haven't gotten it yet, that would have to wait. Okay.
We're still doing that because we don't know that our water system will handle it. And we don't know if our sewer is going to handle it. I mean, it says whether public water system through the township can do this, but I'm sure.
That's already been reviewed.
Well, I'm sure, yeah, I was going to say, I'm sure that Joel and our water department has done enough research that they're not just doing it day by day or month by month. They've got to be 5 or 10 years out. And
You're 100% right. When that developer came in for the overall preliminary, absolutely. At that point, we review everything. At that point, we review, they have to have, approvals from, Ottawa County Road Commission, the Drain Commission, our department. When they come in for the, we look at all of that. That's required in Section 51. So yes, if a developer comes in and they already have that,
we're not concerned about that part. We're concerned about
you're going to have to do it again.
the Joe Blow that just bought 40 acres and wants to put something up. That's the one we're concerned about.
First of all, remember, I'm just trying to explain to you what this means. Certainly, that's what exactly that means. If somebody comes in now and has not already gone to that process,
right,
this would mean that they would have to wait. I'm just explaining interpretation of the language.
Thank you, Manette.
Same thing
Yeah,
with
that makes
PUD.
sense.
I don't understand.
Yeah, it was a lot of paper to go through.
Do we have an estimated development yield on property that has not been approved for any development yet at this time?
I can't answer.
I only ask because, based on the explanation that you just provided, there's hundreds of units already that have the ability to be built tomorrow, even under this moratorium. But
yes,
I'm concerned that there's not really that many left to be built. So,
you know what? It's going to be market driven. It's going to be driven by the developer. We have no idea how many.
Well, we have limited land available, so I think it's worthy of pointing out that the moratorium will only impact undeveloped land. We've got a significant amount of property in the northwest corner that's rural residential, which limits its development ability. So there's not much land available for LDR, MDR, even HDR development. So I just want to make sure that we kind of all understand that this moratorium, it has kind of an undetermined development yield that it really will impact. So I question that a little bit.
I can't answer that. It probably is going to be more of a question that you could pose to the Planning Commission going through the master plan process and to look at a future land use map. Right now, that's what they're going through that. So to say how many houses or more units are left to be developed will probably depend on the outcome of the master plan.
Seems to me your point, Kelly, really is making the point of those in favor of it, but saying you're really not going to get that much for it. In other words, you can enact your moratorium, but you're not going to be stopping as much as you think you might.
Well, and I think I don't want to step on anybody's toes if there's any other comments. The only comment I would want to make tonight is I don't need to reiterate everything I said in the last meeting, but I will just sort of sum it up by saying, I'm just concerned that we don't have the data yet to support this. And so we are now we're using the moratorium to sort of enter a fact-finding stage, if you will, and we don't even know the developable property yet that this will impact. It just feels like there's so many question marks related to it, that is my concern. And I said it last meeting. I'm not necessarily sure, I won't go on record to say if a moratorium is ultimately the right decision. It may be. I just don't think we have the appropriate data to say that it's the right decision today, and more importantly, that it's the right decision to enact as an emergency moratorium without the proper public notice. I just think that the way we're going about this leaves some questions in my mind as it relates to how we bring things forward as the best way to represent this community.
What it's worth, our legal counsel of 40 years says otherwise.
So I'd like to address some of that. So when the Cedar Valley plat was approved, when I first got on the planning commission, they came with all different phases for 190 lots, or I believe. And when we got the packet, Brian Newhoff had done a small study of that, and in the bottom of one of them things, it said, we are not sure if the lift pump on Fillmore will be big enough for the 190 lots. And I picked up on that. I'm like, what do you mean? So we did some questioning. Well, as it came out, your
microphone
around is that what that is? Okay. So I talked to DPW and I said, what's going on with this note? And they said, we really don't have flow meters on all our pumps. It was something that nobody wanted to spend money on in past boards and whatever. So some of you may remember, we came in and we passed money to put flow meters on the lift pumps, because the lift pump at Fillmore goes to the lift pump at Maplewood Park, and then that lift pump goes to the gravity feed to the sewage treatment plant. I talked to Joe again recently about those lift pumps, about the flow meters, and he said, well, the problem is that Brian Newhoff, our engineer, said we really need 3 years of data to get the proper data of how these lift pumps work and if they're efficient or not. And it's only been 2 years. So he is going to get some of the data. He's starting to work on that already, but it's only 2 years of data instead of the recommended 3 when we put it on. So there are things in our sewage system that we need to work on. The other thing is water, and we're working on some things there, trying to increase pressure at that area of the township around Cedar Lake. And those are things all in the works too, with the city of Grand Rapids and city of Wyoming, and a lot of things going on. So for me, if we can get the information, we could probably come back and lift the moratorium quicker. But I think 8 months it's going to take some time to get it together, but we need to do it right. Because let's face it, when your basement fills up with sewage, you will not call the developer. You will call the township. That's our responsibility to make sure we do it right. And I've learned that a long time ago. If you want to do it right, you got to make sure you get everything in place so we don't have an issue down the road. We may get done with this and go, hey, we really didn't need that moratorium. But on the other hand, when I start reading the reports from the engineers, and I do sit with Joe quite a bit, trying to figure out what to do, what's the best way. He goes back and forth, what do we need this? But on the other hand, he also knows that if it goes south, it'll come down to him. And so we know we have some water pressure issues. We also know that we have some lift pump, not issues, but they're coming. And we got to figure out how to do it. And the other concern is that if we continue to put development in the township, the developers are going to have to help pay for some of these costs. If we get down the road and they sell all their lots, and also we need to upgrade these lift pumps, we put the burden on everybody that lives here that didn't need it, instead of putting the burden on the development who decided to put more lots in the township. That's the way it always was in Georgetown. The developers have always paid for the upgrades in those types of things.
Yeah.
And so if we get ahead of ourselves and we got to do the upgrades after it's done, we can't go back and get it.
Fully agree, but I do want to clarify that doing development all through West Michigan, the developer is often responsible for upgrades to systems. And I think that's an important piece that's missing to this conversation. To the layperson who doesn't understand the typical development process, when you receive zoning approval, that is essentially a green light to begin the tens, 20s, to potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of engineering work that needs to be done. And every single developer is required to go through an approval process where you have detailed conversations with the DPW departments, with the township engineers, that often result in them saying, you might need a lift station here. And the developer often pays at least a portion, if not all of it in some instances. So that's not something that is out of the question, and it's a part of the typical development process.
Right.
So I just want to make sure that we're saying that, how it actually
I've
happens.
paid for those lift stations.
Yeah.
I know. But I'm just saying, I want to make sure we got it right, because I don't want to come down back and go, oh yeah, we should have got this kind of money for that. I was like, well, God, well, I sold the lots already. I'm not going to get $1,000 from each homeowner now that I got to have 300 grand to upgrade the slip pump. So I'm gonna err on that side. Say we need to have our information. If we can get it done sooner, I'm more than happy to lift this, to make a motion to lift it. But right now, I think we need the 8 months to get it figured out.
Anyone else?
Appreciate Gary's detail and his information. His
And thank you
background
for that.
experience really is helpful for the board.
Thanks for that.
Thanks for that, yeah.
Thank you.
Anything else to add, anybody? All right, hearing none. We'll have a roll call vote on this one.
Grossman?
Yes?
Belding?
Yes.
Schwalm?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
Piper is no. DeWitt?
No. No.
Wieringa?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, item 15, Shepherd's Farm preliminary plat. Is there a motion to adopt the staff report?
So moved.
Support?
Sorry, to grant the tentative preliminary plat approval. So motion by Gary, supported by Amy.
Yes.
I trust everyone has reviewed staff report and all other documents provided to you. Any questions, concerns, comments? Okay. Would appear from all that I've reviewed that they have met the requirements. If there's no further discussion, then all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Anyone opposed? And it is carried. Item 16, final preliminary plat approval, overall layout, Shepherd's Farm. Is there a motion to approve that final preliminary construction plat?
Yeah, I move. We motion to deny the preliminary plat approval.
Okay. So I said approve. You want to make that a denial?
I want to, yeah, we're, a motion to approve to adopt.
This is 16, not 17.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm on the wrong one. I'm sorry. I flipped the wrong page here.
Yep, is there a motion to approve the final preliminary construction plat?
Oh, yeah.
Overall layout? Yeah. Is that a?
So moved.
All right.
Support.
Who's supported?
Yes.
Discussion? Everyone's read everything? Everyone's satisfied? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None? 17?
Print cut me off on here. What's this?
Ask yourself.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, item 17, the overall layout of the Tall Oaks plat and layout of the preliminary plat of Tall Oaks Phase 1. Is there a motion to adopt the staff report as findings of fact and to deny tentative preliminary plat approval of the overall layout of the Tall Oaks plat and layout of the preliminary plat?
So moved.
Support. Moved and supported. All right, it's before you. A great deal to review with that, including, I trust many of you, as much as you're able to traffic in the zoning ordinance, not quite as well maybe as Manette, but I was able to follow along with those detailed minutes from your planning commission. That's helpful. So comments among the board, questions, challenges to the motion, support of it, anybody?
Yeah, I mean, I'll reiterate the issues I had with the planning commission because I sit on that too. So in 2017, the ordinance was made that 28th Avenue run all the way through. And I know one of the concerns that was brought up was by the representative from Cedar Valley Associates when they platted 28th Avenue off from Fillmore, they were made to go to 90-foot setbacks. And if you look at the proposed plat that they are proposing here, there's not 90-foot setbacks on that road to continue on, other than just those few lots that are on 28th Avenue. Once they made that turn, and they changed the street name, it went back to 40-foot setbacks. So, you know, to approve, to say you want to approve this first phase, it doesn't affect it. It does affect it because it changes what was agreed upon in 5051, which was that all the lots that are going to be on 28th Avenue, which is supposed to run to Bauer Road, would have these 90-foot setbacks. If we approve this first phase, they don't have enough property there to do what they're supposed to be doing because they had 40-foot setbacks. It changes it changes everything because it actually changes their lot lines and everything because that was the deal. Also, if you look at all the phases, they stop it short, quite a ways, from getting to Bauer Road. And we even put a piece of green space in there. So that's not going to be viable to do. And so there are things, I think, that need to be addressed. And I wish they would have been addressed before we got as far as they did. But I do know that if we approve this, it's going to be set in stone. They're not going to be able to do the setbacks that we required Cedar Valley Estates to do. We required them those setbacks because it was proposed to be a through road. So.
Appreciate that summary, Gary, from Planning Commission. I did promise Mr. Stark, I'll ask the question to give you the floor. You have an opportunity here for the rebuttal you wish to give earlier. So if you wish to take the mic, you can do that. I appreciate being concise. So.
So what I wanted to address when we look at the ordinance is there's confusion, and it may only be with me, with respect to the preliminary plat and the extended phases. But your ordinance is, in my opinion, clear that the township board, so in section 50-27, the township board is to receive the report from the planning commission. The township board is to review each extended phase of the preliminary plat submitted in the same manner as A and B. So in A and B of 27, you review the preliminary plat and apply A and B to the preliminary plat. Then you are when you receive the extended phases, you're to also then go back and apply A and B to the extended phases at that time. And it says, it shall not approve or reject any extended phase of the preliminary plat. Then in 5051, which is also consistent, it says, and it starts with, any preliminary plat or extended phase of a preliminary plat must meet these street requirements. So, and it doesn't say and. It doesn't say the preliminary plat and the extended phase. It's clearly, when the preliminary plat comes in, you go through the road standards. When a phase of the extended plat comes in, you go through those standards. So that was my point earlier. And when we look at the staff report says that this complies, and with respect to the road, it says the township would prefer that a connection's made to Bauer Road. I get it, at the south end, but it's not a requirement. And so I am curious with the setback issue. I know that wasn't addressed by staff, and I'm not sure the ordinance you're referring to, but I think it relates only to 28th. So that was my point, Mr. Ranga.
Thank you. Well, we have Mr. Stark. Any questions for what he's said thus far?
No.
I'm sorry?
We did get one of the letters. Was that?
Yeah, one of them was.
On the bottom of one of those, if I'm not mistaken, did you actually write that you're willing to work with the township board on extending that road 28th to Bauer Road in future da-da-da-da-das? Where do you stand on that? If you got this preliminary plot that doesn't even make it to Bauer Road, what were you thinking on that statement then that you would consider helping us get there?
So as you've noted, and I think it's been discussed, there are some practical considerations going to the south with respect to the cemetery, with respect to wetlands. So all of those are open issues. I think somebody mentioned that, we could move the bodies in the cemetery. Those are all open issues. And I do know that the developer has indicated that they'd be willing to work with the township to make that work. Now, do they want and do their residents want a straight shot from 28 to Bauer? I don't think so. From a marketability standpoint, nobody really thinks that that's what they want. But there's no question that is open to discussion. So that statement holds true.
My first concern was that we have talked about a road across there for decades.
Yep.
And as Gary had mentioned, to have 48-foot setbacks when we'd been looking before, I believe, about 90, it's tough. And I agree with Gary. I mean, we're locking ourselves in if we're ever to extend that road. That's a major stumbling block.
Well, the township always has the ability to extend infrastructure. There is no question that they can do that without the developer. We've had, and there's a right way to do it, and there's a not a right way to do it. But look, if the township wants to extend that, they have the right to do that. But to require the developer to do it for 47 lots is a question.
How do you accommodate the 48-foot setback if you put in a major road?
Well, I think it's a matter of health, safety, and welfare, and is the setback that's there protective of health, safety, and welfare? Arguably, and I don't know if there's other areas within the township that have that similar setback. I suspect there are. But no question, you'd have to look at that if that road were to come in and go straight through. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Well, I guess as I have you there, I would just point out, and you could choose to do this from a seated position if you wish.
Can I ask for one clarification too?
Sure.
Well, there was a suggestion that there was an agreement to extend this road. I was curious who that agreement was with. That was something.
Offer. Oh.
From one of the board members who said it was known that this was going to be extended, and they agreed when they developed Cedar Lakes. I'm just curious who the landowner of this property was at the time, and if you're insinuating there was some agreement that this road would go through with the landowner, I'm not aware of that. That's a different board, but I do know that when I took 28th Avenue from Fillmore, that was the intent, to run it to Bauer Road, and so they already then made them do the 90-foot setbacks. If you look, that's what they got. And to be honest with you guys do too. You have 90-foot setbacks on lots 45, 46, 47, and 44 for that reason too. So
yeah, okay.
You're aware of the 90-foot setback.
Well, and that's why the staff said
you're aware of that.
Right.
It's just so that's why it's there. You're aware of that, and you probably asked, why do we have to do this? And somebody said, because the intent was to run 28th Avenue all the way to Bauer.
Well, and that's why the developer's narrative with respect to the preliminary plat was, look, we satisfy all of the zoning ordinance requirements, so please approve the preliminary plat. And then things went a little off when we wanted to extend Bauer Road or extend 28th Avenue.
But if you also go to your next phases, you get to lot number 135, 36, 37, you don't have an open end on there to be able to make it to Bauer Road either. In fact, you even have an open space on the back side, which basically blocks the opportunity to be able to make it to
right, and that's where
Bauer Road. So,
go ahead and speak to the practical.
Can I just speak to the layout?
Okay, and then we're going to cut off. We're not going to let this get away from us. Go ahead, Michael. You make your statement, and then.
Comment though.
All right, but then otherwise we've got all kinds of neighbors who want to make 10 comments too. So, as the one making the request, you may speak to it.
We have 5 other road connections, or 6. I'm not sure. There's 5 or 6. There's numerous other road connections. We did not even anticipate the thought of having to go there. We didn't think, one, you have a large wetland that's separating the end of that cul-de-sac from Bauer Road. You have the position of the cemetery, which blocks that right of way continuing south of Bauer north. There's no way to do that. We did not, in all of my 21 years of planning site plans, never thought that we needed another vehicular connection here. And frankly, if I lived there,
if you talk about health, safety, and welfare and cut-through traffic, this will only create a cut-through. So none of it really makes sense to me, and I think there's legal arguments to the contrary as well, but we never agreed that that road was going to go through. I'm not privy to who might have agreed to that, but that is the reason that there's a cul-de-sac there, because you've got a number of physical obstacles to running that road.
Okay, thank you. I will say, and thank you, Mr. Stark. If we need you, we'll call you back. Yep. I'll just say that our planning commission voted unanimously, and they're pretty educated and diverse in their thinking. To get them all together on one vote like that says a lot about their perspective on this. In terms of legal grounds, not surprisingly to you, probably, Mr. Stark, our lawyer, who will be also answering this letter of yours, entirely disagrees with your position and finds it incorrect. And I will not steal his thunder in that respect, but you'll receive that within a day or two. But you pointed out section 50 dash 27 and from our ordinance. And I'd like to cite to a couple of considerations in there that are part of that section that you rely upon. One is that it mentions in there that, and your point I think here was that, we're limited, or the board's limited to tentatively approving or rejecting the preliminary plat only. I know you want us to look at this myopically, and I think you called the rest of it sort of just giving a flavor of what's to come. I respectfully again disagree, because we can review the extended phase in the same manner as the preliminary plat, as it says here, quote, we may make any recommendations, or the planning commission may, any recommendations for any changes it deems advisable, section 50-27 point C. Moreover, 5727B says that we may make a tentative approval subject, quote, subject to certain conditions which must be fulfilled by the proprietor prior to final approval of the preliminary plat, provided such conditions are in conformity with this article. And so there is room in the language of 5027 for exactly what the Planning Commission did and what I think this board is likely to do, just from what I'm hearing from other comments. And I believe that their position in the Planning Commission relying upon section 50-51 is therefore on good ground. And I agree with that decision personally. So anyone else among the board have any comments, questions, debate? Yeah.
Annette would like to give a quick clarification on an item that was said. So
sure.
Yeah.
Annette?
Yeah,
please.
Sorry.
I've worked here since 1993. So since that time, the definitions in section 15, it defines the additional phases, or means the additional lands which will be included in the overall phase. Section 50-26A states that the application for a preliminary plat shall means has to, may means doesn't have to, this is shall, submit 9 copies. It's closing, what do I do?
Technology. Oh, it's reminding me of my meeting in a few minutes. So.
Okay, so this is how, since 1993, I have consistently interpreted the ordinance. Section 50-26A, the ordinance states that the application for a preliminary plat, or the applicant shall submit 9 copies of the preliminary plat, including all extended phases of a preliminary plat. The definition of extended phases are the additional phases. In section 50-26B, the ordinance states that the zoning administrator shall submit a written report to the Planning Commission used by the Planning Commission and the Township Board, so they can put in their report whatever they want. In section 50-26C, the ordinance states that the zoning administrator shall provide the Planning Commission with a preliminary plat and the extended phases, shall provide that. In section 50-26C, the ordinance states that the Planning Commission at the hearing shall review the preliminary plat and any extended phases of the preliminary plat. Section 50-27A states that the board will receive the report from the Planning Commission, review the preliminary plat together with the report of the Planning Commission, along with any additional data. Okay, so Based on that language, as long as I have been here, the entire time, every single plat that I have been here, whenever it initially comes in, we have required the overall preliminary. We have consistently always required that. And then the Planning Commission Board would approve the overall preliminary tentatively, and then phase one. We've consistently done that. There has never been one plat that we've taken one piece out of and just approved it since 1993, and I am attesting that to you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Matt.
Thank you, Matt.
Anyone else? Hearing no one. Motion is before you. It is not a roll call, so I'm just going to call for a vote. Voice vote. All in favor of, this is approving the denial. So it sounds like a tricky way of putting it, but it's approval of the denial of the Planning Commission. All those in favor of approving the denial of the Planning Commission on this phase, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, carries 6-0. And Ms. Kuiper is rejoin us here. Item 18, Chamber of Commerce activities at Rosewood Park. This would be proposed for the weekend of Memorial Day. I believe that's a Friday, Saturday. And the question before you then is, do you want to move to approve their request to use Rosewood Park for these festivities? We've historically appreciated the Chamber's involvement with us in throwing activities, in particular at that park. They've had art in the park, they've had concerts in the park, and anytime they're willing to roll up their sleeves and help us celebrate, especially the 250th anniversary of the country, I think that's great. So I'll move to approve that request.
Support it.
Okay. Any comments or questions or willingness to volunteer? You're volunteer, Gary, okay.
Nominate Gary. Sorry. I knew
Thanks a lot.
I didn't mean to speak.
Okay.
I'm never home during a summer holiday.
Heather's excited, and she's got a lot of ideas, and this should be fun. I think it's being put in good hands.
And they're taking care of it all, so. Yep.
But they would appreciate help. There's a second public comment period coming here momentarily. Yeah, yep. All right, anyone further on this particular motion? Hearing no one, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's carried. And now item 19, second public comment period. At this time, you can step forward. Again, you have 3 minutes to address the board, even if you spoke earlier. And now you're not limited to the items on the agenda, but items on your mind.
Okay.
Hopefully pertaining to the township. So.
Yes.
Thank you. Please say your name and your address again.
Tim Boltema, 2708 Cedar West Drive. As Amy had pointed out, that a lot of people are really happy with the parks. I graduated from Genesee High School in 1981. I've been here for a long time. And
are you 62?
What's that?
You're 62?
63.
Okay.
and some are retiring this year. Back in the late 70s, down at Woodcrest Park, we had the whole pond that was open, and we had outdoor ice skating. And there is no place to outdoor ice skate. So I was wondering, this is all the way for next year, is there possible we could do some studying to see if we could put even if it's temporary, just for the wintertime, on Rosewood? We got that whole corner right there that maybe we could put some kind of temporary ice rink. So part of it, we play hockey on it. They put, at Woodcrest Park, they used to have bales of hay they put through, and they had ice hockey on one side, and they had family ice skating on the other side. We had lights, there was music. They actually had a concession stand that the churches ran, so they had hot chocolate and donuts or cookies or whatever, and it was all donation basis. It was a great time when I was a teenager. Great place to hang out and ice skate, and I'm just wondering if that was something we could do. There's no place to outdoor ice skate, and with being on the corner of Rosewood right there, with all the kids with the sleds going at it, that would be a great place for it. So that's what I was wondering, if that was something that we could introduce for next winter.
Thanks, Tim.
So, as the guy who's voted for the slide of death, you got me on that one. All right. I like that. Yeah,
I even thought there, if you put up a little concession stand, you could have churches or organizations that could volunteer to come in and do that kind of thing. So you could have hot chocolate and stuff for people while they're sledding.
We'll put your name on the list for volunteering.
That's fine.
And I know we don't normally respond to public comments. Yeah.
And that would be more than happy to go there. And
But I will say that you are speaking our language. We've had some of these conversations, brainstorming a variety of activities at some of the parks that are underused. Woodcrest Park in particular has a special place in my heart because I think it's significantly underutilized. And as you saw tonight, we got a couple of amazing new renovations approved. It's just the time, right? The time to plan, think, budget for it. But that has been on our radar. I have heard, I think John might have mentioned somebody mentioned outdoor ice skating before. Maybe it was Jim. And it was a story similar. It was like a historical story that used to happen. So that's pretty cool. And we'll continue to think on those parks in the future.
Yep. Like I said, it just made sense to be right there at Rosewood because you got
Thank
all the
you.
sledding right there. So anyway.
Can we turn a splash pad into a skating rink? The water's there, right? Come on.
As a guy who's built a lot of ice rinks and I live on a lake, they are a lot of work.
Yeah.
They are. This year we had maybe
How many skating
a
days?
week and a half. You had decent ice because the snow gets on it. If you don't shovel it off, you're done.
Yep.
So I'm just saying. Cool.
But when we buy that Zamboni, we'll cut back
Oh,
on.
I can drive that.
Do I say it all again?
Please,
ahead.
yeah.
Mitch Ogland, 2512 Cedar West.
Thank you.
I was just wondering if you could provide some clarity on how the pause on the zoning affects the planning committee for those of us who might be at our second township meeting, and what that looks like moving forward, specifically on like the Tall Oaks project.
Appreciate that question. And right now is an opportunity for you to speak. So if we don't right away answer, don't take it wrong way. Okay? We're listening.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
McCloskey, I live at 3540 Baldwin Street.
Can I just say, he's the only one he's given special dispensation to not say his first name. We all know him as McCloskey. Don't take advantage of that. That's his exception.
My name is Donald. Okay. And all these plots, these mandatorium for plots putting out. When a plot is made by a promoter, it's doing that. The streets and everything else that goes on there, does he own the streets too, or is that turned over to the city? You have to excuse my talk because I got no teeth in me.
Okay.
I'm having some work done.
Yep.
For saying Rooster's deal up there on 36 and Baldwin, or on 36th Avenue off of Baldwin, that's all private land up there. So do the city own that, Georgetown, or is that just private land?
You always make me want to answer because you ask questions, but this is not a time for
Well,
dialogue.
the reason why, because you can't drive through the part going up to Bauer. You've got a gate across it. Now, that's all bad for the fire department because they're going to have a gate or a key to get that out. So if there's any kind of a fire in the house, or these houses in that addition, nobody can get through it. So I think there's a problem there with these, because right, the street behind Wesco gas station there, that's not owned by Wesco. It's not owned by Georgetown. That's a private street. Did you people know that? Because the road commissioner, when they come for snow, they don't plow it. Somebody has to pay the people around there, or otherwise Wesco comes in and plows it out. That's a problem with these mandatorium we're going to make in our, with these plots coming out with, because you're taking away farmland and making big plots. What's going to happen to who owns everything? So does Georgetown own it? And the streets that are put in, is that Georgetown owning it? So when all these additions and even cul-de-sacs that you have, is the snow removal going to be through the road commissioner or what? I think there has to be some more, somebody has to give some kind of more information out on that. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, boy. 2 McCloskeys in a row.
I just want to thank you for upholding the planning commission's vote today about the Tall Oaks development.
Your name again?
Adam McCloskey.
Your address?
504 Cedar West Drive.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for upholding the planning commission's recommendation there. Not sure what the legality is of the reference points they use, but I'd appreciate them staying on the property that they want to develop to gather those reference points. And if they do want to come by and let us know what they're doing, that'd be appreciated for next time. A bit of a surprise when I move into a new property and people are walking around with survey equipment in the backyard, unannounced to me. And then wanted to second the thing about the ice rink. That sounds like a great idea.
My name is Miss Schneider. I'm at 7553 Hidden Forest Drive, Hudsonville, Michigan. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about a little bit about the federal and then bring it back to how that affects here and 2 referendums I would like to have. So I'd like to have the community actually talk about 2 different items. So right now we have illegally attacked Iran, and there's reports that we intentionally struck a girls' school twice, 168 kids dead. We have the Lancel German hospital shut down for labor to focus on injuries because that's how many injuries are coming in from what's going on. They are hitting air bases, airports, U.S. bases, even the bombed U.S. embassy in Norway. Putin is great because he's going to get funded for the oil in Ukraine. Bibi's going to be great because he's been pounding the war drums for 25 years. And we are giving them something like over $100 billion for equipment. Trump's sons are getting money for this war because they're in Anonymous, Power Corp, and Powerus. That's one of the brothers. And then Unusual Machines and JFB Construction. So the dad has war, we have to pay for it, and they're going to make money off these drones. Great. So now we're also hiding the Epstein files. And the Tola that they killed is going to be his son who's going to come in. And now that the dad's dead and his wife, because of what we did, is dead, we're probably going to have some terrorism actions. I look at this and I say, now we're putting AI, and Anthropic said we don't want AI in government because we don't want autonomous killing. We want an actual person checking out who's going to be killing and who's not. And they said, no, we don't want to have ethics in this. And they went to OpenAI and they put it into our government anyways. I cannot tell you how dangerous that is. Why am I bringing this up? Because we have the FLOC system here. That does not just go to our local cops. It goes to these people who are doing these items. This is not moral actions. This isn't thinking ahead. I don't want our data being given to these people. I would like to have a referendum on taking these FLOCs out, okay? The other thing is that with the police, we have multiple different actions going on right now. We have ICE agents that are actually betting on when the next person will commit suicide. That is an actual article. You can go look that up. We also have Senator Ossoff, who's having reports that they are actually doing illegal gynecological exams on some of these women and medical stuff. That is horrific. You can go look into the senator and what he's done with that. We have these blue butterfly zones where they have these very young girls and they're isolating from everybody else and no one else can see what's going on with them. I would like that investigated, but that's obviously not a part of you. We also have Missouri putting out bills, it's not passed yet, where they would like to jail undocumented people for the rest of their life and through Article 13 be able to put them in slavery. That is just uncool. This is not proper. This is not right. I don't want to be doing things with ICE. If ICE comes in here, what I would like to do is have a referendum on a contract with our local police to say, if you have a judicial warrant signed by a judge, which is legal, fine, our police will help you. If you do not have that, we're not going to help you. If you are doing illegal things, like breaking into windows into someone's car in their house. These aren't even cops. They're not even allowed to give you a speeding ticket, let alone break into items. That is all illegal. I would like to have them arrested. I would like to have contracts with our police officers to say if that's what they're supposed to be for, to serve and protect us. And when people are doing things illegal, we get arrested. Why shouldn't they be? So I like 2 referendums. I don't know how you do that. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Michelle. Here's information on it.
Kevin Hautzinger, 2669 Tamarack. I just wanted to clarify on my previous comments. Looking at the video from the 223 meeting, Ms. Kuiper did excuse herself from item 7.2 and 10, but I did not see anything about item 17, which is what I was referencing, which was the moratorium. I'm not sure how all of you guys feel, but I think that someone that works for a developer that would be directly impacted, i.e. Tall Oaks and any other future projects, by that moratorium probably isn't appropriate to be sitting before the board. And in my opinion, that's a conflict of interest. I think that's evident with kind of who was for the moratorium and who was against it. And then just kind of a general sentiment. I think that if developers are bringing in their legal counsel, trying to strong arm you into doing something, you're probably doing the right thing. And then also, just because a developer does work here, has done work here, doesn't mean they're entitled to any special work. Not saying that you guys are giving them any special treatment, but it kind of seemed that they were almost trying to hint at that. And if they want to leave, never develop again in the township because of an 8-month pause, someone else is definitely going to come in. We have great schools. We have great location. We're just inside Ottawa County, outside of Kent County, easy to get to the lake, currently kind of easy to get to the downtown, depending on how much development we allow. But then also their comment about wetlands as being kind of a pause on why they can't continue the road all the way down. I would push back on that because the wetlands everywhere else on the site aren't stopping them at all. So that's just a interesting hill to die on.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you.
Pete Plowman, 6877 Creek Ridge Court, Hudsonville. I want to say thank you for canceling the Tall Oaks Phase 1, because Phase 1 sets the stage for everything in the future. 28th Street will never be a through street. And if we went on with that development, 24th Street would be a nightmare. So I want to say thank you for doing that. So Phase 1 shouldn't even be approved, let alone what the other ones are going to be. I want to reiterate my other point about our fire EMS that we do to the nursing homes here in Georgetown. And I'd like for something to be looked into as to how many trips we do to those locations, since they're owned by the same company. And we should look into billing them for those services. Since they're nonprofit, they don't pay property taxes. So we should be billing them for those services unless we're just going to, have all the other taxpayers pay for it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, seeing no one else, we'll close the second public comment period. Item 20, discussion and general information among board.
I have 3 quick, short things. Yes, I like the idea of an ice rink in our township. And I want to say possibly I've heard some rumblings about Ottawa County and one of their parks maybe down the road would be a spot for it, and maybe Ottawa County would do it. I don't know. Could just be talk. Also, I'm just curious, since we had our fire department, our new hires, new fire truck, where was our neighborhood TV17 reporter, Giselle Valentine? She should have been filming it. She should have been here. She's always looking for a story. So I'm surprised she hasn't come. Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Thursday, I'm teaching a class at the Georgetown Township Senior Center at 10:30 in the morning. If anybody is interested.
What are you doing?
We're making greeting cards.
Why did you look at me? Why'd you look at me? Really?
Yeah.
Why'd you look at me? I got one guy volunteering stuff for me. You're looking at me like I'm old. I don't know. I'm a little concerned about this.
That's all I got.
I agree.
I want to make one
John's
comment.
too far away.
John's too far. I just want to make one comment. For anybody that's interested, that plat of Tall Oaks is going to happen. Just so we're clear. It's just whether or not we can get some things that should be done from a township standpoint. The plat hasn't been canceled. The property will be developed. We need to get it figured out so it goes along with what our ordinance been approved in 2017. But I don't want anybody to think that plat's not coming, because there's no reason for them not to be able to plat that. There's no reason not to develop it. I would like to see them come alongside and work with us, try to get this so we get through 28th Avenue, but it's coming.
I'd like to say, I appreciate, and I mean this, you and I kid a lot, Gary, but I appreciate your insight, the work you do, and your wisdom on this, and you're polite when you explain it to people. And you do an incredible job. I'm so glad you're on that planning commission. Amy had mentioned about Woodcrest, and we used to take the kids down there, and it was just like the gentleman described. It was just awesome there. But the church was behind that, and it was like a mission that they had for the community with hot chocolate and volunteers. They ran the show, and to my knowledge, the township didn't have anything to do with it. But I'd like to see us kind of move in that direction. And originally with Rosewood, when we looked at putting in all the systems and so forth for the kids, we looked at ice. And Dale Moore was big on that as a possibility. But as we looked at all the maintenance involved and staff, personnel, it was very, very difficult to pull off. So I'm open to it.
We just need to get a local church to do it that has property.
Well, but I'd like to see us consider going. I'm open to it, but I know it's incredibly difficult to do.
Right.
I also want to comment for people that were speaking tonight. I thought you did a wonderful job, and you were polite. Particularly the Hansons, you were detailed and you went right through it, and there was no anger in your voice, none of you. Thank you. It makes us look good, and it carries a lot more weight, and people were very, very thoughtful. I also want to mention Sean Hoff this afternoon was doing evaluations of property where people would come in and appeal, and he was dressed up like this, and I said, why don't you come to our meetings with a sport coat on once in a while? Usually he's Detroit. So, thank you.
Nothing wrong with Detroit, Pete. Don't get offended. Anyone else?
I just want to comment on the quarterly newsletter for the Historical Association.
Yeah.
I get a kick out of that thing every time it comes out. I like reading on it. I'm kind of a history nut. You know, and the amount of work that goes into that, I know it doesn't, you know, is an easy task, but they do a fantastic job with it. If anybody hasn't seen it, it's in our meeting in the agenda. It's a nice little PDF there. And Jenison has a lot of history. There's a lot of things that happened here prior to Georgetown Township. So just want to comment on that and make people aware that it's out there.
I'd like to emphasize that we're having a float contest for the Memorial Day Parade this year, and hopefully people can spread the word. It's neighborhoods, it's churches, it's businesses, and there will be a judging of it, and there will be a winner. And the idea is to post some kind of plaque or otherwise that would be updated annually in the library. But it could really be special in the 250th year. I remember when we lived in Granville, one year our neighborhood made a float for Lewis and Clark to commemorate their, I forget, it might have been 250 years for them, or 200 years, whatever it was. Anyway, we had a huge long canoe, and it was, you know, everybody dressed up, and you had fake waves along the side of it. And one year we also did one where we had the Statue of Liberty in the middle, and it was actually my wife inside of a costume, and we had all the kids in the neighborhood dressed up in different nationalities, and they played patriotic music, and people were literally crying as they were watching, so people are standing at attention. We have people that it really touches. So I think it could be a really positive thing this year. So if you have any influence that way in your neighborhood, your church, or your business here in the community,
Are you going to
that'd be great.
influence Gary to ride the float?
What's that?
Are you going to influence Gary to ride our float?
Oh, yeah, right. We'll get Gary to do it. Gary will do everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got your name
I'll
down.
be at the cabin.
I just got one thing that's a little more a somber note that, and I think I can do it here, is our deputy chief, Ryan Tibbetts, lost his father on Sunday morning early. Had some issues with a stroke in the last week, did surgeries and it didn't come out as well as they anticipated, but I would just ask the prayers for him and his family and everything. He was a 30-plus year fireman for Grand Rapids full-time, and plus he had 30-some years Wyoming on a part paid on-call thing, so he's really in with the fire. I think that's where Ryan and Ross both are in fire service now and stuff, both captains and chiefs and stuff. So just keep them and the family in their prayers as they go through this next week and stuff.
Thank you.
Very nice.
So I had.
Anyone else? Hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Support.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Closed.